The Albuquerque Comic-Con. Today is Saturday night, January 13th, 2018, and we're here for the Star Trek, Star Wars, and Orville panel. And first of all, let's introduce our panelists. My name is Al Newman. I am the Phantom of Many Topics on YouTube. You will be able to see this video in about 48 hours on the Phantom of Many Topics. Okay, this gentleman's name is?
I'm Max Connors.
Okay, and you're primarily a Star Trek fan? Or are you also an Orville fan? Or
I'm a pretty big fan of all three.
Pretty big fan
I'd like
of all
to think.
Okay.
So.
Okay, and you, sir?
I'm Adam Reboro and Star Wars fan.
Star Wars fan. Okay, great. So I'm the biggest. I'm a big Orville fan, so that's a good, very good balance. Okay, so we'll start out with this. Just to let you know, we got a bunch of these comic books here. And at the end of, whoever stays till the end of this panel, we will be doing trivia contests for these Star Trek books. Okay, so I'll come up with trivia contest questions. If you got a good trivia contest question, you can yell it out, and whoever answers it can be the trivia giver. Okay. So first of all, which do you want to start out with? Star Trek, Star Wars, or Orville?
For what, like
For
discussion?
just for discussion, yes.
Let's start with Star Wars.
Okay, Star Wars. Recently, we've had this movie called The Last Jedi. Everybody seen The Last Jedi in the audience, or no? Yes, no? Yes. Okay. Can you speak up so that the camera can hear you? Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah, everybody's seen it. Okay, anyways, okay, I did not think that there would be such controversy. I thought that, by and large, most of the audience liked The Force Awakens, but this new movie had a split. Do you want to talk about a little bit about what happened, or?
Yeah, so the last time I checked, on Rotten Tomatoes, The Last Jedi actually has the lowest audience score of any Star Wars movie, if you don't count the Clone Wars, which is at 39. Last Jedi's got 50% audience rating, so that's it's pretty low. It's been very divisive, and overall I enjoyed it. There's some things that bugged me about it that I could definitely, complaints with it, but overall I enjoyed it. But people are really either, from what I've seen online especially, it's either you love it or you hate it, from what I've seen of reactions online.
And you, sir, do you have a comment to?
So I thought it was a well-made movie. There were some parts where it just made no sense, and then I just felt like they just tried overextending the length of the movie. But besides that, like he said, it's either you love it or hate it online.
Okay. Does anyone in the audience have an opinion either for or against? First off, they killed Snoke, by the way, this is going to be spoilers. The thing has been out for a month now, so. Does anybody else in the audience have an opinion on this movie? They killed Snoke and they killed Luke Skywalker. So, does anyone else have anything to add or anything like that?
Just happy they didn't kill Leia.
Just happy they didn't kill Leia, but in real life, right?
Yeah.
So she's probably not going to be there for episode 9. What do you think of episode 9? How are they going to?
They said in I believe they confirmed in an interview or something. I don't know, but basically, episode 9, they said they're not going to do any CGI or recreation with Leia like they did with Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One, or they do it in Marvel Cinematic Universe quite a bit. And so they said they're not going to do that, which means they're either going to have to kill Leia off screen, or they're going to have to, if they've already have footage of her in episode 9, which I don't know if they do. I don't know how far ahead they've been shooting and planning and all these other things.
Right.
But so her death is going to be, it's going to be very interesting to see how they work it in, because they're either going to have to kill her off screen, which is going to seem very weird, especially because in The Last Jedi it seems like she's going to die and then she doesn't. So it's going to basically be, I don't know how to describe it, but it's going to be very interesting to see how they handle it, because there's really not a lot you can work with now that Carrie Fisher has passed away, unfortunately. So it puts them in a sticky situation. It's hard.
Very few movies have had the balls to take very few movies have had the balls to take an actor who has died
Uh-huh.
and just replace him for the rest of the run of,
Right.
he looks 9/10 difference. He was, he was a white boy from Texas. Now he's a
Right.
black man from New York.
Yeah, it's just, Okay, just let everybody in the audience and the panel know we don't have microphones, so in order to get on that camera, please use your shouting voice or your stage voice, project your voice out so that the camera can hear you for the camera audience, okay? And did you have a comment on the...
No.
Okay, does anyone else have a comment on what they think is going to happen in episode 9? Anybody? Anybody want to speak up? Just like a, like a fan group?
I feel they're
Yeah,
trying
yes,
to
sir.
wrap it up because they've been bought out. Lucasfilm's been bought out by Disney, so Disney wants to get on the
Uh-huh.
trip of putting their movies out there,
Right.
putting in what merchandise and all the other crap that they're going to do for them. So
Right.
they have to also you get rid of Leia nicely, otherwise Star Wars fans are going to lose their mind.
Right.
But they're wanting this to just shut it down so Disney can get its claws on it
Right.
and start the money-making machine that it is.
I saw a joke on Facebook that there's a Imperial Star Destroyer that's chasing the Enterprise, and it said, Mr. Sulu, hey, you got to go to warp speed because otherwise Disney is going to catch us and acquire us. Who knows? In a few years, Disney might buy Viacom and CBS, and then we might
Star
see
Trek.
Star Wars in Star Trek or a mix-in, and that would just be horrible.
The thing is, though, the sci-fi
Uh-huh.
fans are rabid, so
Right.
you really can't
Uh-huh.
go too off canon or anything. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'll just say nope, redo it.
A new gentleman or new person coming in, do you have an opinion about the latest Star Wars movie? If so, please shout because the camera is way over here. So, yeah.
I like the new AT-AT thing.
You like the new AT-AT thing? That was an advancement. I really like the ones that were in the Rogue One. Did you all like the ones in Rogue One? Even though it was supposed to be set in the past, the AT-ATs when they came back, they were very exciting. In the original shoot, there was actually a scene where Jyn Erso was running towards that AT-AT, but they cut those out. Yeah, go ahead.
So I know for the AT-ATs are in
Yeah,
Rogue
please shout.
One,
Make sure you
they're
shout.
actually not AT-ATs. They're like an industrial delivery size because they're on that planet not for battle like AT-ATs are. They're giant things meant to
Cargo
transport ships.
logistics.
They're cargo stuff. Yeah, you don't bring a cargo ship to combat. But it's the Empire, so it's still made for combat, and they still look great. So.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, definitely. Does anybody else have any comments regarding this latest Star Wars movie? We're still going to stay on the topic of Star Wars, but we're going to go to another topic after this. If we're done talking about The Last Jedi, then we'll move on. Like I said, my name is Phantom of Many Topics on YouTube. And again, this is where you'll be able to see the video for those of you who walked in late. Again, in about 48 hours. Phantom of Many Topics, just type in Albuquerque Comic-Con 2018, Star Wars, Star Trek, and Orville panel. That's how you'll be able to hear yourself on YouTube. Okay, so does anybody have any other comments, panel or audience or otherwise, for The Last Jedi? No? Going once? Going twice? Okay, so the next topic we're going to talk about in Star Trek is the new Solo movie that's coming out. Okay, has anyone here seen the movie Age of Adeline? Anybody? One. Okay. What did you think of Anthony Ingruber, the guy that they cast for to play young Harrison Ford in that movie? Was he perfect? Did he look like him? You don't think he looked like young Han Solo more than the guy that did cast, this Ehrenreich guy?
Oh, they replaced.
No, Ehrenreich is the one that they cast. But okay, so there's this. If you go to YouTube, there's this gentleman. His name is Anthony Ingruber, and he actually tried to audition for the role of young Han Solo by doing mimicking of Han Solo. Doing his voice and doing everything else, and he was perfect. Perfect to the point where in the movie Age of Adeline, when they needed somebody young to be Harrison Ford, they casted him. I don't know if anybody Has anybody
I
seen
know of
Anthony
it, but I
Ingruber?
don't
Yeah.
know. I haven't seen it,
Okay,
but I know
but
of them.
when you go home tonight, pull up your YouTube and type in Anthony Ingruber Star Wars or Anthony Ingruber Age of Adeline, and you'll go. Once you see that, you're gonna go like, why didn't they cast him instead of the Ehrenreich guy that they did cast, who they're having problems with because he needs an actor's coach, blah blah blah, whatever. So it just befuddles the mind that oh, very funny, sir, very funny. Okay. If you want to participate, come on up. If not, that's fine too. Okay, no problem. Okay, so this solo movie is going to have Woody Harrelson, the guy from Cheers, and Emilia Clarke. So I don't know. What do you think of doing a solo movie?
So, I'm worried about this movie for a couple different reasons. First of all, it's coming out like the week after like Infinity War, and like Deadpool 2 comes out like 2 weeks after that. So first of all, box office. I mean, it's Star Wars, it's sort of make a ton of money, but it's really weird to release it. I'm amazed they're not doing it in December because the past 3 Star Wars have been, and people kind of associated with Star Wars December, from what I've heard. But yeah, it's coming out fairly soon, and we've seen nothing about it. No trailers, not even any real cast photos or.
Does that worry you that it's going to be a bomb then? Or?
Well, yeah. So I think it'll probably do well commercially, but in terms of how good it is, you know, they did a bunch of reshoots because they fired
Lord and Miller.
yeah, those guys, and they got Ron Howard, which is.
Well, he's a good.
He's a good director. It's kind of weird because that's a very big tonal shift. And then so there's a lot of reshoots, and they're still shooting early for it to release it early. And I don't know. I'm optimistic because I don't want it to be bad. I don't think anybody really wants a movie to be bad, but like I have a hard time imagining that it'll turn out great.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to?
I think it's going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
Just because it's going to throw in the background of Han Solo. Because in the episode 4, he was just tossed out there as a smuggler. As this will show him how he got into it with Jabba the Hutt, and then explain how he became the smuggler he is now.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah. Anybody else in the audience have something to add with regard to the new Solo movie? Comments, opinions?
I agree
anything?
with him.
Oh, can you use your shouting voice again?
I agree with him because I'm actually looking forward to it because I also know he worked at Boba Fett, which I was kind of curious about because I don't know how they got into that rivalry where they don't like each other. So that's another curiosity. I like into the background story where how they're going to end up with each other and how they're going to like react with him being with Boba Fett.
Yeah. Do you guys think Boba Fett is going to be in this movie, or maybe not? I'm not sure. Go ahead.
I don't know how they're going to, but it sounds like what they're going to do is they're going to have the long playing sequel deals. This is what Disney's going to do corporate wise for the Christmas. So you have your Star Wars 1 and 2, and then you'll have like your Rogue ones and stuff. They'll start putting those up against the summer ones. So they're going to be like they're alone, kind of stand by them. This is what I think they'll do or whatever, but I'm not worried about it being bad or anything. They reshot that whole movie with that Kevin Spacey movie.
Oh, wow.
And
what's all the money in the world?
All the money in the world, but
Yeah.
John Paul Getty, the richest guy in the world. And when you got good people knowing what they're doing, I'm Ron Howard, excellent director. I mean, I think they'll put it all together. And as far as the actor goes, people might hate me for this, but like Daniel Radcliffe, but he can't act for shit. But he looks like the Harry Potter guy. That's why they cast him. He's not a very good actor. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like him, but I mean, sometimes, and then they'll have other movies where you'll have the character that looks nothing like the person in real life, but they kill it. And it's a movie, it's make-believe, so sometimes you gotta suspend that to get to the actor. Maybe it don't look like him, but it'll be better.
Again, Anthony Ingruber is the name of the guy in Age of Adeline.
But
Wow.
you said he looks like him, and he's a good actor.
He sounds like
Yeah,
him too.
yeah.
He sounds like him, and he was in Age of Adeline, and he did perfect. He had that deep voice that Harrison. I mean, if you ever get a chance to watch Age of Adeline, you're just gonna go like Kathleen Kennedy. He wasn't even. Why didn't you cast Anthony Ingruber?
I'm gonna have to watch that now.
Plus, he wasn't even on the short list of the final 5, and I'm going like, So, over here, anybody have anything to add about the Solo movie? Anything to add about the Solo movie? Okay, yes, go
I think
ahead.
the actors doesn't really matter because if you watch Return of the Jedi, when they go save Han, it's not even Harrison Ford. They had to use a different actor because he didn't want to do it.
Right.
And then later on, they used Harrison Ford. So,
As a stand-in?
to take over the role because at first he was done with Star Wars after the second movie, so
Oh, wow.
he didn't want anything to do with it. And so they found a new actor.
Oh,
So
wow.
they used the new actor for the whole scene where he's thawed out, and then after that,
Oh, wow.
Harrison Ford saw how good the movie's going, so he joined back in.
Wow. Good. You learn something new every day. Okay, final chance to talk about Solo? No? Okay, let's go to the next one. How about Battlefront video game? Who's a video gamer? The cameraman can talk if he wants to. You just talk right into the camera, I guess. You have anything to contribute about Battlefront, sir?
I would contribute. He's got my game. I haven't played it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a really good game. I like
Uh-huh.
the actual campaign on it.
Okay.
So far, it's been really good. It actually, from my point of view, it takes place between all the movies, like between Rogue One and then after you finish that part, like you go into. I'm sorry, I'm like just sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's pretty much it just tells the backstory of every other Star Wars movie that's been out. So as soon as you finish the first campaign, you start the Resurrection, and then the Resurrection plays the role of Kylo Ren,
Yeah.
and then it shows you how he starts looking for the map. And then that's as far as I've gotten so far. So I'm not completely
I haven't played it
done.
myself yet, but has anyone else played Battlefront, the new Battlefront video game? Okay, go ahead. You guys have. Go ahead.
I tried to
Talk about it.
I
Loud voice, please.
okay, I can see like the gameplay was not bad. I can admit that. But the problem was after finding out microtransactions, all that stuff, I was like thinking, oh, it might be the same thing with Battlefield where you level and earn all these weapons, including characters that you might be able to play in later game. Like maybe like you could choose Darth Maul for your main character hero, stuff like that. But I was kind of disappointed that they made microtransactions primarily to get everything unlocked for each character, like you want like better weapons or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed. Like
Oh.
I used Rebel Story mode. The story mode I was great, but the multiplayer for some people didn't like it, for some people didn't care because they bought the microtransactions either way. And I heard it went down bad. They said the first one was better than this one because due to microtransactions being having to cost so much to get all the stuff you want from the game.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody? Thank you for your comment, sir. I've only played the earlier game, so yeah. But thank you for sharing. Does anybody else have a comment about the Battlefront video game? No.
I like the map levels better, but I think the
Yeah.
loot thing, like he was talking about, is kind of annoying.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's just like you have to pay in every day, and then it's kind of like gambling. So you can't always get what you want.
Okay. Again, audience, don't be afraid to shout, okay? Because my camera isn't that awesome, so it's you gotta do. I don't know if any of you are from drama class in high school or whatever. Project your voice. Project your voice, okay? Does anybody else have anything to say about anything Star Wars before we move on to Star Trek? Star Wars. I'm gonna get a drink of water. Drinking water. I'm drinking water. Sorry. There's some more bottles if you got. Anybody wants a bottle of water? They're there for us. So. Okay. So nobody has anything more to say about Star Wars. Nobody. Okay. Then let's move on to Star Trek. Let's start out with Star Trek Discovery. How many of you have seen it? Anybody? Yes. Yes. Some. No. Okay. A few of us, cameraman, some people in the audience. Okay. Star Trek Discovery is supposed to take place 10 years before Captain Kirk. But they have the Spore Drive, which we've never heard of, and they have these really, really weird looking Klingons. So I don't know what to make of it. You're in Star Trek
yeah.
before we have Star Trek.
The thing that bugs me about Discovery is, like you said, you never hear about the Spore Drive, and I'm assuming what's going to happen is at the end of the series or some way through it, they're going to lose it, or something's going to happen that they can't use it, but you never see it mentioned anywhere in any of the other 5, or Enterprise before it, any of the other 4 after it. So you think they'd at least make some comment about it, especially Janeway, because she's in Delta Quadrant, she has to get back, she'd probably be like, well, we could use the Spore Drive, or something like that. And then, the Klingons are weird. I just feel like the whole thing could take place after Deep Space Nine and Voyager, because you can still do the spore drive because it's a new technology, and that can definitely work. You have holograms and bigger view screens, and the whole thing just seems like, set design wise, I understand why you want to make it like more modern looking, and it's visually it looks great, but it doesn't really fit with the whole timeline. And even the Klingons, you could do some sort of storyline where there's some like ancient Klingon cult or something, I don't know, that's been away on some other planet somewhere, and you know, they're just coming back into view now, and you can still have that problem of the Klingons even after Voyager and Deep Space Nine, because they could just be like some radical offshoot of it.
Right.
Well, also, and that would also be a great way to parallel, like, you have people like Worf,
Yeah.
and you know, have him react to these like more radical
Oh,
group of Klingons, and having them like, you know, because they're like
crazy.
yeah, they're crazy, and Worf could be like, you know, Klingons have changed, and
More about purity than honor.
yeah, because they're very different from the Klingons we see, or both visually and they're I don't know, they're just code of honor, I guess, is a little bit different than what we see in the original series. So to see them like conflicting with each other, I think would be an interesting dynamic. But you know, we've already kind of established that before, courtesy of Sarek and all this other stuff. So.
Oh, did you have?
Hasn't it always been there though? It's like in Deep Space Nine, they had the whole thing with Gowron, and they're all like back, you know, stabbing each other in the back, and conniving. And Ursula and her sister, they're always conniving, and then they had the whole thing with where they get Data's creator who does the eugenics war, and then there's like through, what was it, Voyager? No, Captain. Okay, so it's Enterprise where they have the upgradable humans, and then they take that virus, and the Klingons get it, so that's why they lose
That's
their
why they
face.
explain it.
So I think they're trying to. I read something somewhere, but they're trying to explain all that. If you really want to go back to like the '60s, they had hair and everything. So it's like, I mean, they just look like they just wore different clothes. And so I heard somewhere where they're going to try to explain why all this crap, why they look like they look now, why they, and why they change up, and hopefully, and the spore drop thing, that just ruins everything. If you had technology like that, you're the ultimate power. There's nothing, you could land armies on planets, and it's just too much. It's like when for years they go, oh, you can't beam through the deal, and then so I can get through in 5. No, stop that. You can't beam through the shield. So I get aggravated when they do crap like that. And this spore drive is just like the nuclear bomb.
It's way
to,
out there, yeah.
To
It's never been mentioned
a knife fight. It's like, no, that's not. And they've got to do something. I think even like at the end of this one, where the last episode of last season, he goes blind. I haven't been reading nothing on it, but he goes blind, and I'm thinking maybe they'll kill it right there. Hopefully they'll kill the spore drive there, because I like the idea of it, but I think it's going to ruin the writing for the team, because I'll be sitting there going, well, why didn't you use spore drive? Why didn't you use spore drive?
Anybody else over here? Comments?
So, almost a weird thing to say about something set 500 years in the future that's too futuristic. Because, like, the spore drive complaint, they're probably going to be like, oh, there's this big government cover-up because the spore drive will do something horrible that only the government will know of, and then the government will say, the public can't know about this and that, and it'll be this massive cover-up that will work because we haven't heard of it, or something like that. So dealing with that, like when they did, prequels are hard because then you have to remember, like, oh, we can't do modern stuff to the future. Like Enterprise handled the prequel effect
Pretty well.
Because they're in the jumpsuits, not in the fancy Star Trek uniforms they have and stuff. Because they're just getting used to it. They have a transporter, but they're all skeptical about using it. But then by the 3rd season, they don't care anymore because they're used to it. So it's weird to say that something's too futuristic about a sci-fi future space show.
Yeah, like.
It's weird to think that, like, we fell off it and we watched Orville more because we like that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we finished the first season. Did we? The first half of the first season. I don't think it's back yet.
Oh. Okay. The Discovery also, in Discovery, they are now focused on one person as the main character and everybody else is the background, whereas in Next Generation or any of the other shows, it's an ensemble cast and everybody's kind of like an equal. Even Quark in DS9 was an equal to, Cisco and whatever. But now that's they cast a lady, and her name is Sonequa Martin Green in real life, and she is her character name is Michael Burnham. Yeah.
What was the need for that? To call her
she
Michael?
said-
Why can't I just call her Michelle?
Yeah,
I don't
well,
understand.
now we're gonna tread into a dangerous topic here. Okay,
I'm sorry, but it just like.
yeah. So the producers they hired some writers that are outside of the Star Trek universe, and they're a little bit on the politically correct side. So they're saying like, oh, we're gonna give her a masculine name because we want to, blend the lines between masculine and feminine. Also, they want to break new ground. For the first time ever, and I don't have any opinion on this in either direction. They have two homosexual men kissing. Because in the original Star Trek, they had Uhura and Kirk kissing
With
for the
the
first
first-
interracial kiss.
yep.
So they wanted to break another barrier. So they're doing a lot of experimental. Or I don't want to offend anybody in the audience. I'm just saying they're just doing more.
Well, they did
not
it
so
in,
conservative or more
with
yeah,
Sulu too.
exactly, yeah.
How when he went to the
Sulu.
space station, he met his husband
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah, so they're willing to be a little bit more.
And that's fine, but if you're gonna like take a
Yeah.
stand,
Uh-huh.
don't do it on his
Yeah,
name.
like I said, I
to me,
don't-
I mean, I don't care. I mean, I really don't. But it
Right.
just seems weird to me because I was asking, who's it, Michael? And I'm like, what?
Yeah, well, and also online, if you guys have been following thanks for coming in. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so online, if you've been following the online chit chat, people are upset, and I'm going to spoil because this is spoilers. The episode was already released a week and a half ago, so I look at it as a spoiler. They killed off one of the two gay guys.
Oh, wow.
And then the mass reaction on Facebook was like, how could you kill him off? And I'm going like, he was the doctor and he found out a secret. If he was heterosexual, he'd still be killed. So,
Yeah.
it's like in Walking Dead, they killed off the only black guy at the time. His name was T-Dog, right? On Walking Dead, because we didn't know that Morgan was coming back at that time, right? So I mean, how can you say
The writing
that-
needs to
yeah.
be written for the story, not
Right,
for the
it was.
political correctness
Right,
of
exactly.
problems we're having today.
Yeah, but he died as part of the story,
And that's great.
okay. And I'm going to spoil again. They're in the Mirror universe, so there's another one. So on the After Star Trek show, they were getting so much hatred out of this, they had to say, no, that character is still going to be around, but just in a different form. Now, since they're in the Mirror universe, guess what? It's going to be like the Harry Kim thing, right? Where they traded Harry Kim, and that's probably what I'm guessing. The next episode of Discovery is tomorrow night, so we'll find out.
Okay.
Tomorrow night, right. So we'll find out. For any of you who have CBS All Access, you can get it for $6.99 a month if you're willing to watch the commercials, and is it $12.99 without or something? I watched the commercial, so I just pay
I think I got the
$6.99.
commercial one too.
Yeah, and there's so many other great shows on CBS that I want to watch anyways, and I feel it's definitely worth it. Anybody else comment on Discovery? Oh, I just want to add that I'm in love with Cadet Sylvia Tilly. I'm even more in love with Captain Sylvia Killy. That's a spoiler. But not necessarily Mary Wiseman, the actress. So I know that's kind of like a weird comment, but anyways, that's just gratuitous. Okay. Anybody else on Discovery? Discovery. Anybody else on any other Star Trek topic? Star Trek? Any comments on Star Trek future, past? Anything to say? No? Okay, so let's move on to Orville, our last topic, and then we'll do the raffling for the comic books, okay? We'll just do trivia questions for the comic books. Okay, so who here has seen the Orville? Yay! Oh, just about everybody. Orville, okay, so in the year, I don't know, was it 2000, 2001, there was kind of a Star Trek spoof called Galaxy Quest. Mm-hmm. And I guess Seth MacFarlane, he says he didn't get the idea from this, but how can he have avoided Galaxy Quest? Orville is a lighter version of Star Trek. You could call it a homage, a parody, or whatever, but it is not as serious as a lot of the Star Trek episodes are. So I'll open it up to you, boss. What do you think of the Orville?
So I haven't caught up all the way, so I'm not sure exactly where it goes, but I do think it's overall it's pretty good. You know, some of the humor, it doesn't fit because it's, you know, it's more of our sense of humor in the 24, I don't know when they're in the future, and so that's a little bit weird. But they also handle some things well, like they make fun of Star Trek, like it's in probably first or second episode. You got the guy in front of the view screen, and he's like off center, and he's like, "Can you just move to-" And so they're making fun of Star Trek like that. And some of the other the episodes I've seen, one of them was it's about Bortus, who's like the Worf of the show basically, and his husband, and he's talking to him, and it's all about how they're an all male society, and it's like you know, do you make them a social outcast, or do you keep them as they were? And it's like that almost felt like it could have been a real Star Trek plot, like something that they could have actually touched on, because you know that's kind of a serious issue, and it feels like Star Trek already handled, because there are plenty of Star Trek episodes that deal with social issues. I forget the name of it, but it's one of the original series where it's they're like one of them they're like black on the left side, and the other one's black on the right side, and it's and you know that one's it's a pretty straightforward message there, but you know that's Star Trek's always kind of dealt with some social commentary, not in every episode, but definitely as a theme, especially with humanity coming together. And so when they did that episode, I thought, wow, that's really not what I was expecting from the show. And then you know some episodes are just comedy. And they have one where it's like they're making fun of people like the upvote downvote one, where people wear the badges, and it's like
but that's another social commentary.
That's a social commentary, but it's also pretty humorous because you're like, oh, this is absurd. People are just like voting with their thoughts, and then they're like, well, they're not.
That's what we're doing, though.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because you're like, oh, this is. It's kind of a twisted knife. You're like, it's funny, but it's almost too real, you know. So I like the Oracle over there.
Yeah, they stole that from Black Mirror. If you've seen season 3 of Black Mirror, which is available on Netflix, they stole that episode directly. But by the way, Black Mirror also has a USS Callister episode, season 4, episode 1. Anybody seen that? No? Okay, so if you got Netflix, definitely watch Black Mirror. So because they did a Star Trek spoof, because Star Trek or Orville stole, you know, the up and down vote thing.
See,
off
but
them, so.
the whole, if you watch Orville, you have to invest some time with Seth MacFarlane.
Right.
He's the executive producer of Cosmos.
Right.
That new deal. So he's science-minded anyway. If you watch Family Guy, American Dad, Cleveland Show, you can go way off in another way. There's that side, but then you got the Cosmos side. So I was real surprised with Orville. Wasn't just straight up slapstick, stupid butt humor, you know, but it's not. And I was real surprised when it did have social commentary. I was like, whoa, he's actually.
It's a serious.
He's making it. I think it's a little weird because it's two genres that are totally different. His type of comedy, even putting in with the social commentary, is kind of weird. Even the name of the show, Orville. When I laughed my ass off because he named it after the Wright brothers, and I mean.